Welcome, builders of the Agua Fria district. Really glad you're here for this explainer. Today, we're going to do something pretty cool. We are fundamentally transforming how we look at one of the most common digital tools out there, the spreadsheet. We're going to see how Google Sheets can actually become a totally dynamic, incredibly powerful data layer.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever looked at a spreadsheet and just thought of it as a grid? You know, a place to visually organize some text and numbers? Well, what if I told you that your spreadsheet is actually a database in disguise? Seriously, we're setting up a massive paradigm shift today.
So here's our roadmap for how we get there. We'll start by totally rethinking the spreadsheet, then move into structuring for reliable data, securing that data layer, maximizing performance with AppScript, and finally, we'll cap it off with the brain design principle. Let's get right to it.
First up, rethinking the spreadsheet, moving from a visual grid to a true backend.
Now, what's really interesting here is the contrast. Most folks view Google Sheets purely as a visual workspace, right? It's often this chaotic, unstructured grid full of pastel colors, bolded fonts, and scattered notes. But for us builders in the Agua Fria district, that view is totally incomplete. A sheet is actually a lightweight database. It's a highly structured store of information where your apps can read, write, and query data without the end user ever needing to open the actual file.
Moving on to structuring for reliable data, let's talk about the golden rules. To guarantee bulletproof data reliability, we have to adopt some rigid, but honestly liberating, rules. 1. Clean headers in row 1. 2. Data starts exactly in row 2. 3. Consistent data types in every single column. 4, and this is a big one, absolutely no merged cells. And 5, no calculations that'll break if a script adds a new row. Now, I want to heavily emphasize something here. These rules, they aren't just for making things look pretty. They are absolutely crucial. Sticking to this structure prevents catastrophic script failures when an app tries to write a new row. Structuring sheets like this is literally the secret sauce for improving data reliability.
So the crucial point is this foundational rule: one type of data per sheet, one row per record, one value per cell. Simple as that. For example, if you've got a Users tab, it should have exactly one row per user. A Progress tab, one row per user module combo. Keep it completely isolated. Keep it clean.
Another massive upgrade for reliability is using named ranges. Let's say instead of writing a super fragile cell reference in your script like, sheet 1 A to Z, you create a named range, let's call it user table, that points to that exact same data. By using these resilient data hooks, your scripts become infinitely more readable. And more importantly, they become virtually immune to structural changes. If your data moves, well, user table just moves right along with it.
And hey, let's not forget data validation. Think of it as your gatekeeper. It's your absolute first line of defense, making sure that bad data is just straight up prevented from ever entering your pristine data store in the first place.
All right, let's shift gears to Section 3, securing the data layer, keeping things behind closed doors.
Here's a real-world scenario to chew on. If an Agua Fria district tool has, say, 50 users actively utilizing it, who actually gets access to the underlying Google Sheet? Seriously, think about that for a second.
The answer? Only administrators. That's right. Those 50 users should absolutely never have access to the underlying sheet itself. No way. They only ever interact with the web app interface which reads from the sheet on their behalf.
Let's break down the actual mechanics of this brilliant security model. Basically, only the builder and designated admins get editor access to the sheet. The deployed web app, however, accesses the sheet using the permissions of the script owner. So the app acts as this super secure bridge, reading and writing on behalf of the user without the user ever needing direct access to the raw data. This is exactly how we build secure, sustainable tools for the Agua Fria district.
Next up, AppScript and performance, how we actually move that data efficiently.
The entire vocabulary for your web app communicating with its database basically boils down to 3 really straightforward commands. First, get values. This reads data directly from the sheet into a 2-dimensional JavaScript array where each element is a row. Writing data back is just as easy. SetValues writes a 2D array back to a specific range. Or if you're just adding a new record, AppendRows simply drops a new row right at the very bottom. Pretty elegant, right?
And this brilliantly illustrates a critical point about methodology. When you're handling more than a few hundred rows, how you do this is everything. Reading and writing data row by row, it's incredibly slow and taxing. Instead, you've got to adopt batch reading. You pull all the data you need in a single getValues call,
process it lightning fast in JavaScript memory, and then write any changes back in a single set values call at the end. It's highly efficient, and honestly, it's absolutely the standard you should be adopting.
Let's move to our final section and see how this builds into the ultimate blueprint, the brain design principle.
I love this concept. Think of this architecture through a really simple but profound analogy. Your Google Sheet? That's the brain. This is where all the data, the decisions, the configurations, and the memories actually live. Your web app? That's simply the face. It's just the interface reacting to whatever the brain tells it to do. It's like a giant puppet show, where the sheet is pulling all the strings behind the scenes.
The most durable tools in the Agua Fria district push absolutely everything to the back end. Content lives in the sheet. Configuration lives in the sheet. User data, you guessed it, lives in the sheet. You want to keep that web app interface, the face, as lightweight as humanly possible.
Because of this brain design, managing your app becomes, well, incredibly simple. Let's walk through it. Say an administrator wants to change a question, update a description, maybe swap out a video link. Step 1, they just update a single cell on the sheet. Step 2, the web app instantly picks up that change the very next time a user loads it. Step 3, zero redeployment required. You literally don't have to touch the code at all. It's kind of magical.
I actually want to read a quote directly from our source material here because it sums up the ultimate benefit perfectly. That is what sustainable district infrastructure looks like. Mastering this lightweight database approach is exactly how we build tools that last, tools that scale, and tools that are just incredibly easy to manage in the long run.
So, we've covered how to structure, secure, and completely optimize Google Sheets as a dynamic data layer. Now, I'm going to leave all of you Agua Fria district builders with one final question to spark your curiosity. What will you build next with your new brain? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, happy building.